Consider that thou art dust, and to dust thou shalt return. The day will come when you shall die, and rot in a grave. The same fate awaits all, high and low, the prince and the peasant. As soon as the soul shall have left the body, with the last gasp it will go into eternity, and the body will return to dust. Picture to yourself a man who has recently expired. Behold that corpse lying on the bed, the head fallen on the chest, the hair disordered and bathed in the sweat of death, the eyes sunken, the cheeks hollow, the tongue and the lips the color of lead. The body grows cold and heavy. The beholders grow pale and tremble. How many at the sight of a deceased parent or friend have changed their life and left the world? But still more horrible is it when the body begins to decay. 24 hours have not elapsed since the death of that youth, and an offensive odor is already perceptible. The windows must be opened, and incense must be burnt, and haste must be made to transfer the body to the church and to bury it, that the whole house may not be infected. And if that body has belonged to one of the great or rich ones of the earth, it will only send forth a more intolerable stench. Behold to what that proud man has become, the favorite, the desired one of society, now become the horror and the abomination of all who behold him. His relations hasten to remove him from the house, and people are hired to bear him away, that enclosed in a coffin they may cast him into a grave. Formerly he was renowned for his talents, his elegance, his graceful manners, and his wit, but no sooner is he dead than he is forgotten. On hearing the news of his death, some say he was an honor to his family. Others he has provided well for his family. Others grieve because the departed had done them some service. Some rejoice because his death brings some advantage to them. However, in a short time, no one will name him any more. In the visits of condolence, other things are talked of, and if anyone should chance to allude to the departed, the relations exclaim, "For mercy's sake, never name his name to me." Consider that as you have done at the death of your friends and relations, so will others do by you. At first relations are afflicted for some days, but they quickly console themselves with that share of property which falls to them, so that in a short time they will rejoice at your death, and in that very room where you have breathed forth your soul and been judged by Jesus Christ, they will dance, eat, play, and laugh as before, and your soul, where will it be then? But that you may see more clearly what you are, O Christian soul, go to a sepulchre, contemplate dust, ashes, worms, and sigh. Behold how that corpse first becomes yellow, and then black. Afterwards the whole body is covered with a white and disgusting mold. Then there issues forth a slime which flows to the earth. In that corruption a multitude of worms is generated, which feed on the flesh. The rats feast on the body, some on the outside, others enter into the mouth and bowels. The cheeks, the lips, the hair fall to pieces. The ribs are first laid bare, then the arms and legs. The worms, after having consumed all the flesh, devour each other, and at last nothing remains of that body but a skeleton, which in time crumbles in pieces, the bones separate, and the head falls from the trunk. See then what a man is? A little dust on the barn floor, which is carried away by the wind. In this picture of death, behold yourself, and what you will one day become. Remember that thou art dust, and to dust thou shalt return. Consider that in a few years, perhaps a few months or days, thou will become rottenness and worms. All must come to an end, and if when you die your soul is lost, all is lost for you. St. Bernard says, "Look on the sins of youth and blush. Look on the sins of manhood and weep. Look on the present disorders of thy life and tremble and amend. Behold the graves of the dead, and say to yourself, if these could live again, what would they not do for eternal life? And I who have time, what do I do for my soul?" In the world those only are esteemed happy who enjoy the goods, the pleasures, the riches, and the pomps of this world. But death puts an end to all these joys of earth. For what is your life? It is a vapor which appeareth for a little while, James 4:15. Behold that man, courted today, feared and almost worshipped, tomorrow when he is dead he will be despised, reviled, and trampled upon. When death comes we must leave all. When the body is laid in the grave, the flesh falls off, and behold, his skeleton can no longer be distinguished from the other skeletons. Go to the grave, says St. Basil, and see if you can there discover who has been servant and who has been master. On this earth men are born unequal, but after death all become equal. That which has happened to your forefathers will happen also to you. They have inhabited your home. They have slept in that very bed, but now they are no longer there. The same will happen to you. All know that they must die, but many are deceived by picturing to themselves death at such a distance, as if it could never come near them. It is appointed unto men once to die, Hebrews 9:27. The sentence of death is written against all men. Death alone is certain, says St. Augustine. All other goods or evils are uncertain. It is uncertain whether the newborn infant will be poor or rich, whether it will have good or bad health, whether it will die young or old. All is uncertain, but it is certain that it shall die. If then you should live all the days you reckon upon, still a day must come, and of that day an hour which will be the last for you. Who is the man who shall live and not see death? There has never been a man so mad as to flatter himself that he should never die. That which has happened to your ancestors will happen also to you. Of all those who at the beginning of the last century lived in your country, behold, not one is living. Even the princes and monarchs of the earth have changed their abode. Nothing remains of them but a marble mausoleum with a grand inscription, which now only serves to teach us that all that is left of the great ones of this world is a little dust enclosed in a tomb. It is appointed, it is then certain that we are all condemned to death, and every step we take brings us nearer to death. As your name has been one day registered in the book of baptism, so will one day be registered in the book of death. As you now speak of your forefathers, the blessed memory of my father, of my uncle, of my brother, so will your successors also say of you. As you have heard the bell toll for others, so will others hear it toll for you. Look then at the corpses, each of which says to you, yesterday for me, today for thee. The same is said to you by the portraits of your deceased relations, their beds, the clothes they have left behind them. In every age, houses, streets, and cities are filled with new people, and the former ones are carried out to be enclosed in the tomb. So will the time come when neither I, nor you, nor anyone now living will exist any longer on this earth. We shall then all be in eternity, which will be for us an eternal day of delights or an eternal night of torments. There is no middle way. It is certain and of faith that one or the other lot will be ours. And in truth, with death present to them, the saints have despised all the pleasures of this world. St. Charles Borromeo kept always on his table a skull, that he might continually contemplate it. All the gains and riches of this world terminate in a dying gasp, a funeral, and a descent into the grave. The house you have built will be given up to others. The tomb will be the habitation of your body till the day of judgment, and from thence it will pass to heaven or hell, where the soul will already have preceded it. It is certain that we shall all die, but when is uncertain. Nothing is more certain than death, and nothing is more uncertain than the hour of death. Already is the year, the month, the day, the hour, the moment fixed in which you and I are to leave this world and to enter into eternity, but this time is unknown to us. Imagine yourself with a sick person who only has a few hours to live. Behold how he is oppressed with pains, fainting, suffocation, want of breath, cold sweats, and weakness of head, to such a degree that he can hardly hear, understand, or speak. Among his miseries, the greatest is that death approaches, and instead of thinking of his soul and preparing himself for eternity, he only thinks of physicians and remedies to free him from the pains that are killing him. If at least his relations and friends forewarn the dying man of his danger. But no, there is not one among them who has the courage to announce to him his approaching end, and to advise him to receive the last sacraments.